Good morning. My name is Laura Schauer-Ives, and I'm the Managing Staff Attorney for the ACLU of New Mexico, and co-counsel with Catherine Tucker of Compassion and Choices in Morris versus Brandenburg. In March, the ACLU of New Mexico and Compassion and Choices filed a lawsuit on behalf of two physicians seeking clarification that when a physician aids a terminally ill patient of sound mind in dying, they are not assisting such a patient in committing suicide. Doctors Morris and Mangalik are surgical oncologists who both have had patients who would explore the option of aid in dying, but for the uncertainty of the law in New Mexico. Asia Riggs, whose cancer is aggressive and advanced, is one such patient. She is here today to announce that she will join the physician plaintiffs in seeking the right for a terminally ill patient of sound mind to have the option of physician aid in dying. The decision of how to approach death is an extremely personal and private affair. Still, because Ms. Riggs strongly believes that she and others should have the right to choose this option, she is willing to be a plaintiff in our lawsuit during this difficult time. And I am very, very thankful for her courage. Asia?
Good morning. My name is Asia Riggs. I'm 48 years old and I live in Santa Fe. In March, I heard a report on the radio about two doctors asking a court to clarify the status of aid in dying under New Mexico law. I'm here today to announce that I'm joining the case and asking the court to clarify the ability of mentally competent, terminally ill patients to obtain aid in dying from their physician if they find their dying process unbearable. Less than a year ago, I learned that I have uterine cancer. That news came as a complete surprise. I had had some difficult symptoms, but none of them by themselves were abnormal. Eventually, I had an ultrasound, and that led to a biopsy. Then the phone call came telling me the biopsy showed cancer. I was stunned. I remember thinking in those first moments, cancer, that's a life-threatening illness. But I was told it was the least aggressive kind and most likely stage 1. A hysterectomy was probably all that I needed to cure it. Surgery on October 5th revealed a very different story. As I was coming out of anesthesia, I asked what happened. I was told that the cancer had spread much further and was much more aggressive than we originally thought. Although I was still quite hazy, I understood that I was suddenly in a whole new ballpark and that my odds of long-term survival were now drastically reduced. My doctor told me the cancer was stage 3C, just one step away from stage 4, and that I would need both radiation and chemotherapy. At the end of December, I had a biopsy of a lump that had grown through the time I was in chemo. That too turned out to be cancer. My doctor had taught me a lot by then, including that a tumor growing through chemo meant my chances for survival then looked even worse. I've had some painful complications from the treatments, including a neutropenic immune system crash that sent me to the ER and required a few days in the hospital. That experience was pretty scary. That and the amount of pain and intensive medical treatment I've had has made me think, if this disease is going to end my life, I don't know if I want to go to the very end with it. When I say the very end, I picture being in pain or mostly unconscious in a bed with my loved ones around me in distress. When I was younger, I studied counseling and psychology. I did an internship at a hospice, and I thought a lot about the dying process. I thought how interesting it would be to be aware that you were dying, to be conscious of that fact and able to say your goodbyes to people. Since I got this diagnosis, I've been thinking again, very seriously, about how to have some control over the end of my life. When I heard about this case on the radio, it answered a dilemma I'd been struggling with. I felt I couldn't talk about my death with the people closest to me. I was afraid to talk about it with my doctor. I thought if it came to choosing a peaceful death, I would have to do it all by myself to keep from implicating anybody else. To end that sense of fear and isolation that people have about one of the most important events in our lives, that's why I think aid in dying should be an option for terminally ill patients. I'm still getting chemotherapy and other aggressive treatments. I still have a chance, even if it's a small one. I have a good life and I want to keep living. But if the cancer is going to kill me, I want the peace of mind of knowing that I have some choice at the very end. If my dying process becomes unbearable, I want my doctor to be able to prescribe medication that I could take to avoid further suffering and have a peaceful death. I understand people can't really know how they'll feel until they actually get there. So I don't know for sure how I will feel as I get closer to death. But I do know I want to have the choice. I hope that the courts will agree with the doctors and me that nothing in the law prevents a doctor from providing aid in dying.